Well, guys, we're here yet again, and I know a little bit late for this review. And again, I probably got a little bit of backlash from last week's episode, but we're going to be talking about obviously Skeleton Crew episode 7. So, this episode was a little bit better, in my opinion, than last week's episode. Not by much, but by a little bit. So, episode 7 going into last week's episode where there's a lot going on. We start off by the parents. They're trying to send off a message to the kids, and they get caught yet again by these droids. The droids use stunning to be able to paralyze them, and then they're able to send out a message. But without further ado, we see where Job is basically Jude Law's character. I'm just gonna say Jude Law because again with all these names, but Jude Law's character is still trying very hard to keep himself alive. Then he's about ready to get knocked out of the airlock, but then he says, okay, here's that Atten, but it's covered with a force, not really a force field, but more like a defensive mechanism. So Brutus says, okay, I'm going to send one of the ones out there. He doesn't make it. He's going to put him in the airlock, and then he sees the other ship, and he says that's the way to get him in. And as soon as that happens, they go ahead and get the ship into a tractor beam. The kids get on there, and they somehow get an idea of, okay, if we take out the captain, maybe Jude Law's character may help us, or maybe something's going to happen. But it doesn't go that well because Bruce does get captured by an arm on the ship, and Jude Law takes him out, and he says, take the kids prisoner, and he says, basically reclaims himself as captain. Now, the real thing I will say in Jude Law's behalf, I will get into this later on, so he reassumes command of the ship of his old crew, and he wants to take command of the Onyx as well. And of course, 33 says you can't because of him. You can't command two ships, but he claims the ship on behalf of him as well. Even though Wim and the other kids try to fight, which was a desperate, attempt, and somehow 33 still fights on their behalf as well, and they're able to escape, but at the same time, they're able to get through all the defenses while the ship is trying to go after them as well, and it does not work. But at the same time, we see where Jude Law is still there, and he takes out 33 by using the lightsaber, and he tells them all to get down. Now we kind of have like an Order 66 moment where he just lays down the lightsaber, tells him to shut up and sit down, and he lays into him. He can't get into the ship, and he just lays into him. He basically tells them that they are whiny, spoiled, obnoxious kids, which is not a lie. It's not a lie. Fern, she's very rebellious. She's very spoiled. KB, she's very, I wouldn't say sheltered. I would say more of Neil is sheltered. Wim is very gullible. He's very adventurous. And we also have where, again, like I said, KB, she's just very scientific. Again, that's how kids are. They can be like that. But at the same time, I will agree with what he says to a certain degree. But then we also see where he tells them to go with his plan. They do land, and the parents are getting scolded by the droids about, oh, well, no one's allowed out of the sector. Then they land, and of course, Jude Law assumes the role of trying to be an ambassador, and he's trying to get a hold of his ship. But they go further deep into Atten, and the droids show him where all these credits are. I mean, these guys, there are credits to literally at the end of the rainbow type deal. Like, this is such the amounts of warehouses in the world would probably not be able to handle all these credits. There's that many credits. And then he just touches a little bit of the credits, and then it's like he has a Joker type deal where he just starts laughing maniacally, and he's just like pour, like he, instead of having water pour on his head, he just has credits pouring all over his face. And then their parents show up. The kids go nuts. They have a reuniting. Surprisingly, Wim's father is actually happy to see him, and so is everyone else. And then Jude Law just shows up, and they just turn around, and he reunites the lightsaber, and that's how the episode ends. So again, I will say this: Jude Law really excelled at this episode. He really came as very conniving, very malicious, very charismatic. It felt like if you met with like Jack Sparrow meets the Joker. because the way he was going about it with Brutus was like, oh, the crew loves me. He says, well, they know they love Plunder. No, I think they love me. That was pretty much some crap that I think Jack Sparrow would do. Would do anything to make sure he would not get exiled from his own ship. Again, we've seen that in the movies. With him doing that with the money, that was pretty much like a Joker type deal, in my opinion. But overall, I think it was an okay episode. Was it the best episode? No. Um, again, I will say I think they were trying to put a nod at Order 66 with this, and I was a little disappointed that Brutus got killed because, again, we haven't really seen nothing from these other pirates. We don't know what they're capable of. We did not really know what Brutus was capable of. I was actually a little disappointed about not seeing more about his character of where did he come from, how did he become a pirate, how did, Jude Law's character recruit him, how did he meet him, all these other kind of things. But again, I guess that's just the way it's written. But those are just my thoughts on this episode. But guys, what do you think about this episode? More likely, season finale is next week. But another thing is, if you guys are unaware, the TV ratings on this show is not doing good either. I don't think if it does get a season 2, I will be surprised. Because what I say is this the best show? No, it is not. Is it better than Acolyte? Yes. I will definitely say it's better than Acolyte, but I don't know. I would say this, once I'm done with this season, I'm done. I'm not rewatching it. If it gets season 2, okay. If not, okay. That's just how I feel about it. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one.